Welcome back to another episode of The Final Word, the number one Pacers podcast on the web. I'm your host, Raj, and with me once again is my dad as the co-host standing in for Preston. So we have another great show lined up for you guys today. But before we get to that, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to The Final Word so you never miss a show. Plus, it would really help out to support the show and the production of the show. Also, if you guys would like to support the podcast, you can sponsor us at one of the top two levels. Click the link in the episode description. We will shout out your business, your cause, or just your social media handle each month. And you will be added to a private Final Word community so you can hang live with me and Preston while we watch the Pacers smoke the competition. Or you can support by getting a professionally installed smart home by one of our top smart home providers in the country. Just text smart home to 317-300-4750. That's 317-300-4750. So now that we're done with that, Dad, how did you like that game?
Well, tonight once again was a game that the Pacers played at home, and for some reason, when they get in front of their home crowd, it just inspires them.
Yeah.
They go to another level. And it was the type of game that it was a back and forth, and usually I think about the high was somewhere around maybe 11 points that would separate them at the most. But it was one of those games where they sort of seesawed back and forth. And then again, Raj, one thing that's actually sort of constant and is growing when you look at that second team. Mm-hmm. So, when they go to that second team, they come in and they just keep clicking. They just keep moving things along. And actually, they even pick up the pace a little bit.
Yeah, they do.
They sort of actually determine, I think, the speed of the game. Because they'll cause other teams, if they want to play slow, to have to pick it up and play a little faster.
Yeah, definitely. And it obviously helps with the second team. You got, Benedict Mathurin coming off the bench. He's leading all scorers in the league off the bench as a rookie, which is ridiculous. So, that definitely says a lot right there. I think the Pacers bench, don't get me, I could be wrong about this, but I think they're leading are they leading the league for their bench points? Do you remember seeing anything about that?
That's what I thought I heard tonight. I thought I heard the commentators say that, the Pacers bench was actually, when it came to points coming from the bench and moving the ball, getting it up and down the court. They played one of the fastest playing teams, and also when it came to scoring points, they were being one of the more productive teams in the league. Mm-hmm. And you think that's really interesting. Of course, they got young players on the bench that come in, and you look at them and you think, okay, well, they're not starters, but then again, the other thing I think that you have to look at and you have to think is, some of them actually could be starters and really have been starters.
You're correct.
Along the way, different times.
Yeah, Brissett, he's been a starter before. I remember when we first got him. I think this will be his full second year. So it's crazy that he's one of the more tenured people with the Pacers, and he's coming up on his second year. But yeah, I remember.
This is his third year.
No, it's his second. We got him. It's technically his third year as far as NBA season, but as far as with the Pacers, it's actually full time with the Pacers. It's really completing his second year. Because he came at the trade deadline a couple years ago.
Yeah, he was with the Mad Ants one while.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And they're making a big deal about him, and he was playing good, and, he was seeming like he's going to be a part of our future, and it looks like he still is. Now, obviously, the capacity in which he functions is another thing, but from what he's doing right now, he's serving his purpose, and the minutes he's given, he does a great job with him. So I actually enjoy watching Brissett play. I don't know how you feel
he
about
actually plays as a 4 and a 5.
Yeah.
He's not really physically. He's not really a big guy, and height-wise, he's really not. But he jumps. He jumps well. What is he? About 6'7"?
Yeah, I think he's about 6'7".
Yeah, he's about 6'7".
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he has a lot of versatility though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
he does. He can obviously run, which is something we need. So when he's in the 4 spot, that's definitely important. The energy between him and Nesmith, that's... And about Nesmith, he's really... I don't think people thought he was going to be this important to our team. But he's starting to feel like he's kind of like... and I'm not saying he's exactly like this player, but he's kind of giving me Thaddeus Young vibes. Would you agree? Can you kind of see that?
I think I'd say the same thing. Yes, and he's playing with a lot more confidence.
Mm-hmm.
He attempted a dunk in the game. Oh man, it was so pretty, and he came so close, but he missed it. But you could tell. He was going to put an exclamation on that dunk, and even though he missed it, the crowd just got a rise out of it.
Oh yeah, exactly. And can you imagine if he tried doing that with the Celtics though? If he did that with the Celtics, I don't think he probably just want to. They probably take him off the floor, probably.
they may have, but the other thing though is when they had to go to that second team, there's something else that was off. This Portland team is a real physical team, and they actually caused the Pacers to have to rise to the occasion. And we're talking about young players and those guys coming off the bench. They wouldn't back down. They'd get the rebound, they'd come right back at Portland. They just wouldn't let up on them. Of course, that's the way Mathurin, he plays that way anyway. He's always on the attack.
Yeah, he is. He don't stop attacking.
He doesn't stop attacking it. He doesn't care who you are. He doesn't care how tall you are. When he's gonna attack, he's going to attack. So,
can you think his confidence can get any higher than what it is right now? And throughout his entire career, it just seems like he came into the league and he's been completely confident. I don't see how you can raise your confidence when it's already at 100.
Well, I guess the desire to be the best, you just have to keep working at it. It doesn't come overnight.
Yeah.
And people aren't going to label you the best. You just have to prove it.
Yeah, that's right. So I think what's going to happen, because his confidence is already at 100. I can't see it getting higher than it is right now. I think what's going to end up happening is his skill is going to eventually match his confidence. And not that his skill is bad right now. You know what I'm saying? So his level of play is going to continue to rise to match his confidence.
Well, I think every chance he gets to sit on the bench, he grows. He learns a little more. Every time he gets on the floor, he grows. He learns a little more. Because he'll attack you, and then when you find a way to slow him down, then he looks for another way to even come back harder. So
exactly.
For him, he understands that the game is one of those things. It's the craft that you have that you constantly work at. And in being that, he doesn't let up. And I think that's one of the great things about this year's Pacer team. It just has a group of guys that believe in work, and they're sold on that idea that you're not going to outwork them.
Exactly.
That they might lose, but they're going to win they're gonna win some, and they're never gonna let their fans down.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, they're even if they do lose, you know that they gave it, 110%, 200%. So that's the thing. I think people are okay. I mean, obviously you don't want your team to lose, but if your team does lose and you can tell they gave as much as they could give, I think that's really all you can ask for, because you know they're not going to win them all. It's just not going to happen. It'd be great. But you want to see something that's entertaining, and you want to know that the team is actually giving it all they have. So that's
there was a point in the game. It was crucial towards the end when Nesmith and the center for Portland both had their hands on the ball.
Oh yeah,
it came down, and Nesmith. I tell you, the guy was going to throw Nesmith around, but he was determined.
He wasn't letting go of that ball.
That was so funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
But once again, you could see the determination.
Yeah, exactly. He's scrappy.
That he had in him. It was scrappy.
He's definitely scrappy, and we definitely need a guy like him. I think I was kind of hinting to somebody like that before, when I think last podcast when I was referring to Tice, I believe. Which, I'll be honest, I don't really know how scrappy Tice is. He just looks like he could be scrappy. He has a scrappy look to him.
Believe Daniel Tice is one of those ball players that he probably grew up playing ball, and people looked at him and automatically assumed he couldn't play.
I wouldn't say that about Tice.
I think he was one of those guys that figured he had to prove himself and he had to be tough. And so I think really, even though he was with Boston, you have to understand Boston had a lot of talented players.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they couldn't fit everybody in. And I think even though he came with Nesmith, hey, I'm glad to have both of them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I think once Daniel Tice gets a chance to get on the court and get his legs under him, because once again he had that knee surgery. That's what he had. Okay, so it's a matter of getting that healed and then getting worked back in. But he is the kind of guy that understands the ball game and how it needs to be played. I think he's probably taller, bigger physically than T.J. McConnell, but I think he's the kind of guy that has just as much heart.
Who you talking about?
Daniel Tice.
Tice? Well, yeah, he's taller than T.J. McConnell.
Well, no.
Are you referring to?
No, that's my point.
Oh, okay. You said he's probably taller. I was confused. I thought
taller.
I thought we were talking about Tice the whole time.
He plays a different position. He's not a guard.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, but once again, he's the kind of a player that grows up and will love the game and know that he has to work harder than other people.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's a fighter.
Okay, well that's good. We need fighters.
So I think the Pacers will be happy to have him, and as they develop him and other people look at him, I think some other people actually are going to be maybe inquiring, because trades are going to come about and things will happen.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, I think he's the kind of guy, he fits in with the team that's here now. And when you start talking about a locker room and you start talking about the mentality that your players have, I think he's going to surprise some people.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'm just excited to see him get onto the court and see what he does, see how he meshes with the team and whatnot. When exactly that happens, we're about halfway through the season right now, and he's not stepped foot on the court, so you never know. It might be next season. I'm not exactly sure about what his comeback date is, going to be. But yeah, this year's, just honestly, this year's just been nice just because we didn't really expect. I mean, I hoped and thought we could be good. But I didn't really, like a lot of other people, expect us to be this good at this point right now. So I think we're sitting at 6th again. I could be wrong. We could be at 7th.
We're between 6 and 7.
Yeah. So the fact that it doesn't seem like, it kind of seems like we've played about 40 games now, so we can't really expect to be much worse than what we're at right now. I mean, it's kind of expected that we're gonna win at least probably 19 to 20 more games.
Something else, Roger, that I think we saw again tonight is that when it comes to the end of the game, that this young Pacer team is learning how to close the game out.
Exactly. And that's something we didn't have a whole lot of last year. I think was it last year that it seemed like we had a lot of close games and lost all of them? was that last year?
Well, we had a lot of close games, and we had a lot of games that actually weren't very close.
Yeah, we did have those. We had some ugly ones. We had some ugly ones. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I think once again we have guys now that really will fight harder. And I'll tell you something else. Miles Turner played a heck of a game.
Yeah, he did. 17 points.
I mean, yeah, you look at the points, but even again tonight, he made crucial blocks.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he made crucial blocks. He gets the job done defensively, supporting. Once again, if you really stop and think about what he's doing a good job of giving support to the other players. So when they do get beat, they know he's got their back. Mm-hmm. And you could see him fighting for loose balls, slapping them out. Maybe he couldn't get two hands on them. He'd get one hand on it so he could slap it out in the back court to his team.
Yeah.
And so that, once again, he still, when the team would come through, throw players off balance because they're still conscious of it. Mm-hmm. Now, there are times that players would go down the lane. Of course, a lot of times when they did that, if you look at it, you notice Turner was on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, yeah, teams will attack when Turner's not there because they feel like they have a better chance. Of course, Jackson being able to suit up and play tonight sort of helped. Of course, now on the other side, Jackson can suit up and play and help, but Smith had I don't know if it was a sore thigh or quad or something that was bothering him.
Yeah.
So,
because they expected him to play, but I guess he had to back out of it.
Yeah, well, you'll have injuries and things, and it's good to have enough big men that, you can substitute and you can give a guy, a night off, give him a chance to mend. Mm-hmm. And even, by the way, Goga got in again tonight.
Yep, Goga got in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was a good thing. And there were some good things that he got done. He got his hands on the ball. He got a couple of steals, and you can see him in there fighting. So once again, they're growing together. Mm-hmm. It's even as you sit on the bench and you're not playing, if you're paying attention and you're tuned in and locked in, you're gonna grow, you're gonna develop. And so I think once again Goga had some good moments. It's good to see him on the floor tonight.
Yeah, definitely good to see Goga and Jackson. And you mentioned Miles had a couple good blocks. He had some crucial blocks, but Jackson had a couple blocks as well. So, I mean, really, when you think about it, I mean, when you got Miles or you got Jackson, I mean, those are two guys that can really, shot block really well. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jackson prides himself on that. I know he doesn't get as much recognition for it right now. I think it's mainly because he has to work on not fouling as well. But if he can get that completely under control, which honestly I don't think he's really, putting himself in issues where he's fouling out of the game right now. But he hasn't really had a whole lot of opportunity to play in the games. But he seemed tonight like he was pretty solid.
Well, one thing is he's more of a slasher going to the basket, and he's a quick jumper, and so therefore they can lay the ball off, give him lob passes. Yeah. So he'll attack harder and quicker than Turner. But and then there's also Smith, even though he couldn't play tonight. So we're looking at some real talent on the Pacers, and I keep saying Jackson is so young. So when I say he's so young, what I'm saying is physically he's not where he's going to be. When he becomes what he needs to be physically, and which comes with time, he's going to be a monster.
Oh, I agree 100%. So here's my concern. So obviously we traded a Sabonis, so Miles could kind of flourish and do his thing. I don't think either one of these guys, either Jackson or Smith, is going to take the center position while Miles is here. So do you think it's a possibility that they're trying to train up one of those guys so they can dish Miles, or do you think that they eventually want to try to see if they can play together better than Sabonis and Miles could play? Because
I'm gonna say this. I think with Carlisle and the assistants he has with him, they're not thinking about ever dishing Miles. What they're thinking about is they're going to make him comfortable. Because Miles, he really wants to be a Pacer.
Yeah, he does. And why do you think he does want to be a Pacer? Because everybody who he's played with, who he started with, isn't here anymore. He's went through multiple coaches. He's not from Indiana. Yes, I mean, he has the emotional connection of this being the team he was drafted to. But other than that, I mean, I don't know how much he really likes. I mean, I guess he probably likes Indiana to a degree.
Well, I really believe Indiana. It's sort of crazy if you look at Twitter and different things like that, and what people think. But I think when the Pacers are at home and people that come to the game and they see Miles play, they actually like Miles Turner and his game. And I think people that really understand basketball will and should have looked, and I've said this for years, Miles was being played out of position. He was not being given the chance to develop and be the true player that he can be. And what he loves now is he has a coaching staff that believes in him, and he has a team around him that believe in him.
Right, and he's still young, like we mentioned before.
And he's still young.
He's in his 8th year, but he's only, 26? Right?
He's 26 going on 27.
Yeah, so he's 26 going on 27.
The way he's driving to the basket.
Okay. Yeah, it's different. He looks like a completely different player this year than he has been in prior years. So it's very interesting. And I remember Larry Bird, he had this quote a while ago saying that Miles Turner could go down as being the greatest Pacer of all time. Now, whether that's the case or not, I mean, he has some hard competition considering Matherin and not Hield, but Tyrese are here. Matherin and Tyrese competing with that to be the greatest Pacer of all time. If they're here the entire time, I don't see how that's going to happen. But yeah, as far as the greatest Pacers center of all time, I definitely can see that because he already has the record as far as shot blocks, for the Pacers. And he's only 26.
Right.
So people don't really think about that. I mean, having the record for shot blocks and you're only 26. So, I mean, that's saying a whole lot right there. So, yeah, he can definitely go down as being the greatest Pacers center of all time. That's for sure.
Yeah, so I see his game getting better. And one thing that's going to elevate his game even more is as Tyrese elevates his game.
Oh, yeah.
He feels good making passes, finding the open person.
Mm-hmm.
And, since he plays around the perimeter, Buddy plays around the perimeter. So they get to do their teamwork, which you can look at the two of them. They just love playing the game and playing together, and they understand one another.
Oh yeah, you can just see that. I just love it. I love seeing that. So, like I said before, I just feel like nobody's gonna give us this recognition because we're Indiana, we're the Pacers. I just feel like we really have our own version of the Splash Brothers. I wish Stephen A. or somebody would say something about us. Nobody's talking about us whatsoever. I mean, Buddy's 50.
Let him keep overlooking us.
Yeah, Buddy's 52% from three since December 4th. I mean, that's what he was at the beginning of this game. 52%. That's ridiculous. And Tyrese, he was 43%. So, they have their off nights. Like Buddy and Tyrese started the first half. Not so great. Again, it's gonna happen, but they both in the second half they do what they need to do. Tyrese was not so great from the three, but when the time came to hit it, he knocked down a clutch three, and I think there was how much time left? It was like a minute or so, or was left.
They were within probably about 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, 2.5 minutes
of the game. Yeah, but you know what? I'll tell you something. When you look up in the rafters and you see number 31 hanging,
mm-hmm.
Reggie Miller was a great shooter. But even Reggie, he had those nights that the ball just didn't fall.
Mm-hmm.
And even great players, there's nights that LeBron James goes on the court and the ball just doesn't fall.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay. But the great players, when the ball just won't fall that way, they find another way to get the ball in the basket. They make themselves useful. They'll find people that are open to make passes to.
Mm-hmm.
They'll make drives to the basket and attack. I mean, that's what we're looking at Matherin. And what he does, he just keeps coming. He just won't back down. He just won't let up, so the pressure is going to be on you.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned Reggie Miller, so he fired back at Wally Szczerbiak about Wally Szczerbiak calling Tyrese a wannabe all-star. So he said, this is what Reggie Miller said on TNT's broadcast. He said, by the way, Wally Szczerbiak, he'll be on that all-star team. Not throwing shade, but I am kind of throwing shade. He's not a fake all-star. He will be an all-star. That's what he said to Wally Szczerbiak. So it's nice hearing that from Reggie Miller. That's one guy who I kind of wish. I mean, I know he has his job and he's on TNT and all that good stuff. So it's not like he can come around and just grace the Pacers with his presence and things like that. But it'd be nice to see him in there. I mean, it was nice just to see Larry Bird there. Sometimes you go to the games and. But it'd be nice. It's nice to see Reggie Miller there because what he means so much to the, Indiana fan base and everything. So, It's nice when you have somebody like that to be able to stay around, like Dominique Wilkins, what he means to the Atlanta Hawks and whatnot. He's really involved over there, and even though he didn't get a championship with the Atlanta Hawks, he means a lot to them, just like Reggie Miller means a lot to us. They're both, all-time great players. So, but it's nice to kind of see Reggie Miller go to bat for one of our current Pacer teams, showing some love to his old team, even though I'm not even sure how he feels about us half the time, but
Reggie is Reggie. And I'll tell you, there's a thing that a lot of people don't understand, but there's sort of there's a relationship that's established once you've been with the team and you spent so much of your time with that organization. And once again, you develop relationships and feelings about the people in the area. And people were always supportive of Reggie. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's appreciated. And once again, we're in Indiana and we love our basketball. And we probably have, sometimes I'll say, we have a better understanding about what the game really is all about. Mm-hmm. And so there's that special joy about being a Pacer, having that history behind you. Mm-hmm. And I think, once again, those are the type of players that are going to stand up and speak up for these young guys, mm-hmm. because they see them coming along, and it's just a continuation of something that they started out, okay? And so the people love the Pacers and have that joy. Mm-hmm. Yep. Indeed. So it was a great game. Yeah. Damian Lillard, I mean, when you talk about a guy that knows how to attack the basket, when a guy can shoot any place he wants to shoot from on the floor, has great range. But hey, they held him to just 17? 19 points.
19. Okay.
Yeah, it was 19 points. They could hold him to just 19 points.
That's a win.
Yeah, that's good.
Which causes a win if you can hold him to 19. Because he could easily get 45 probably.
But the other thing it says is defensively, the kind of guys the Pacers have, they're, once again, those young guys. But those young guys, they go out and they battle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do.
And I keep saying, don't sell Buddy short, because when Buddy's not hitting baskets, he's getting steals, he's getting deflections.
Yeah, he's very effective. He doesn't look like he's a liability. He seems like he's a guy who just knows what to do when he's on the court. He doesn't seem like he ever makes very many mistakes when he's on the court. And that's nice to see. And I can't say that about Justin Holiday.
Well, I'm not gonna go back.
I can't say that about Justin Holiday.
We're just gonna appreciate that we got a buddy.
But I did like Justin. I did like Justin when we had him, because I remember when he was playing against us on the Bulls, when I first really noticed Justin Holiday, and he was splashing those threes on us. I don't know, they ended up beating us, and that just kind of burned something in my memory. So when we got Justin Holiday, I was like, oh great, we got Justin Holiday, and he's a good 3-point shooter. But yeah, he wasn't great a defender, and he just, I don't know, he made some mistakes that you wouldn't want him to make. But yeah, I'm definitely glad we have Buddy instead of Justin. But also, what did you think of that lob from Nembhard to Isaiah Jackson early? Wasn't that nice? That lob he threw up there, you see that?
Yeah, that's once again, that's the kind of player Isaiah Jackson is. And once again, and I keep saying, when his body physically catches up to where he needs to be for his age, which means he's gonna have to get older. So it's gonna take a little time.
He's gonna have to get older.
It's gonna take a little time to build that body the way it needs to be built.
And he's working on it, because I remember preseason he was talking about how he added 15 pounds of muscle, or 15 pounds in general. So he knows that's important. So he's not getting pushed around. Because last year it just seemed like he was just like a little dog getting thrown around everywhere. It it wasn't pretty. So I'm pretty sure that did something to him to where it makes him want to get stronger, and so he'll continue to get better and hopefully packs on some muscle. So
So remember all that size that the Pacers have and all that talent they have. Once again, these players, they look up to Miles, and you can see Miles constantly working. And once again, he covers a lot of territory. If you go back and you look at the games, replays, he's playing defense down around the basket, but you'll see him at times when other teams will take their big man, and basically what they do is they're pulling him away from the basket so they can get Miles away from the basket so they can attack. Because if Miles is out up by the three-point area and he can't get back, their chances of attacking and hitting shots are way better, and they realize that.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, Miles is having to cover a lot of territory.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another reason why it's important to have that second and third man to back him up. Because, he's going to have to sit down and get a breather.
So do you think that Isaiah Jackson and Jalen Smith are going to be content with just being Miles Turner's backup? Because, let's say we become a better team than anybody thought we could. We get another year to gel. And then, we start, making some runs in the playoffs and whatnot. Do you think there's going to be a point in time where they can, more effectively work on the court together like Sabonis, what they hope Sabonis and Miles to be? Just because they're both more athletic than Sabonis. Do you think that could be a thing to where Miles and Jackson or Miles and Smith can work on the court together? Because we do know Smith, I guess, wasn't as comfortable at the 4 spot. It just didn't work out as well for him. And we know we're not moving Miles back to the 4. So how do you think that's going to work out?
Well, I was just thinking, and I heard this interview after the 76ers beat the Pacers. And someone said to Montrezl Harrell, and they asked him what he thought about having to come off of the bench. Would he prefer to be a starter? Remember, I told you Montrezl Harrell actually had been a starter at other teams, so it wasn't a new experience or one he wasn't ready for when they had to put him in when Joel Embiid couldn't play the other night. And even in interviewing him, he said to the person that was interviewing him, they said, well, wouldn't you rather be a starter? Don't you have trouble coming off the bench? And he said, well, truthfully, if you really know about me, I've been a starter before. And he said, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is, he said, is I love this game and I'm getting the opportunity to play and do what I really love to do. And he said, now something else, and this is where I think Smith sees and understands it. He said, by the way, Matherin, I think, sees it and understands it too.
Yes.
He said, when I'm sitting there on the bench, the first thing I get a chance to do is see where the team is weak at, to see where I can be effective, to see where I can attack and get things done and help my teammates out. He said, the only great thing about being a starter is you get to walk out, the lights are off, and they turn the lights on you, if that's important to you.
That's what he said?
Yeah, but he said, but the important thing to me is I love what I do. I love playing basketball. And I think when you look at players that really understand that, I mean, like, look at Matherin. He's not starting, but look at how many minutes he gets.
He gets starter minutes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And
So,
I believe you're right. I think he understands that. And I think having guys on the team that understand that, and it seems like our team is pretty humble, even though they are all, what's the word I'm looking for? They're humble, but they are confident in themselves.
And they're competitive.
So it's nice to be humble and confident and competitive, because a lot of times people who are confident and competitive, you think of somebody like Jimmy Butler, somebody who's probably not too humble, So it's good we have a team like that, and obviously when you got a guy like Tyrese, I don't know how he really views himself as much as a leader. I know he knows that's what his job is to be, but I mean he's humble as well. So if you got your so quote unquote captain of your team who's humble and has all that talent he has, I mean I feel like it almost forces everybody else to have a similar mentality. Not that they wouldn't have had that mentality in the first place anyway, because they probably would have, especially with Miles, so Miles is humble. They're all humble, so then you got TJ McConnell. I mean, some people are just, happy to be able to play, like you said. So I think that's what it's all about. It's not necessarily the starting or the not starting. Now, obviously, when you become a starter, there's something that comes along with that as well. You get clout, and you got the potential to make more money sometimes, so because you're a starter, you want your starters to make more money.
I tell you what, you can be a bench player and get paid well.
Oh yeah, you can, but some people just want to get that maximum contract, which hopefully, like I said, when it comes to Miles Turner, hopefully they work something out to where they give him the most maximum contract they can give him. So hopefully that works out. I think they could do a contract extension for the rest of this year, I believe, to where he gets like an extra $18 million. I think I heard that earlier on one of the sports shows on the radio. But yeah, that's crazy, just for an extra 40 games, $18 million potentially.
Well, I'll tell you what, he keeps playing the way he's playing, he's gonna get way more than $18 million.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, all he has to do is keep playing the way he's playing.
Yeah, it's like a completely different person. Like I used to say, man, Miles, he just gets so in his head, and he gets frustrated when he messes up, and I don't know, maybe that was all due to him having to deal with the Sabonis comparisons and things like that, and so maybe that affected him a little bit, and so now he knows that's not there. It doesn't seem like if he does make a mistake, he doesn't get down on himself, he don't mess up. I mean, he makes a lot less mistakes. So I don't know, and then maybe that's just general growth he has just from getting older and playing in the league for another year. I have no idea, but yeah, Miles Turner, he's gonna get paid. I mean, if the Pacers don't pay him, somebody's gonna pay him. Hopefully, the Pacers do all they can to pay him, because really, he does seem like he is definitely. I mean, between the fact that he's making the third most blocks, I think, right now in the league. He's not the top, but shoot, he's always floating up there at the top 5, it seems like. So between that and then just the way he's being effective with our team, he's not like a slow, slothful center. Some people want these centers just to grab rebounds all the time. He's like, yeah, you don't grab all the rebounds, but right now he's averaging 8. That's pretty darn good to me, averaging 8, and then
and he
a couple block shots,
floor.
Runs the floor. For a big man, his footwork is actually pretty good. So he's quick, he's not slow. So I mean, I don't know exactly what else you'd want. I mean, he can stretch the floor. I mean, which is one of the big things that when he came into the league, they were concerned about having 4s and 5s who could stretch the floor, and he was definitely filling that role, even though he didn't really, do everything he was wanting to do. But I mean, I feel like he's living up right now to the potential that a lot of people were disappointed that he wasn't living up to in the past. But like you said, it was mainly because they were playing him out of his position. They weren't using him effectively. So, and I think people can see that now. Whether people actually realize that, hopefully they'll listen to this podcast so they can understand that.
that might help.
Yeah, that just might help. And hopefully Miles Turner hears this podcast and tells some friends about it. But yeah, they're all doing better. It was a great win. It wasn't pretty. It was definitely an ugly win. I didn't know how it was going to turn out because I mean the Trailblazers scored the first 10 points, but then the Pacers came back and scored the next 10. So I was like, okay, so that would just kind of set the tone for the game. It's just going to be a complete game of runs, and whoever got the last run wins, and that just happened to be us. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah, we got the last run because there's only so much time you can play. the clock has to run out at some point in time.
That's right.
So, but yeah, it was definitely a great game. Like I said, I really think this team is going to continue to surprise people, and I just feel like honestly nobody's gonna really talk about us until we're like in the playoffs and making moves. Like we'll get to the playoffs, and if we don't get past the first round, they're not gonna talk about us. They might not talk about us until we get to the Eastern Conference.
Well, right now, with the experience the Pacers have, I'd say this. In the conference, in a playoff, they have enough experience, and they've experienced closing close games, that they'll be competitive.
Oh, yeah. And that's one thing. It's like I know I talked about how I wish they would just put some teams away and run it up by 25 and 30 and stuff like that. But yeah, I think the ability to win close games is the thing that's more important. I mean, I'm sure it's more stressful on them. It has to be, but it is good that they get that experience. So it's not something they have to experience when they really need to get a win. But yep. So the Pacers, we are playing. Who are we playing next? Who's next on the? I know we got a Sunday game. I'm pulling up my app. Let's see who we're playing next. Do you know? Looks like we have. It's a Sunday game. This is bad. Sunday game schedule. Come on now. Okay, looks like we have the Hornets. Oh, great. That should be a win. Now, that being said, even though it's the Hornets and they're 11-29, obviously it's still an NBA team, and you shouldn't just expect to just get a win to just roll over on you. Because they're
professionals, and you got to play to win.
Yep, they're professionals. Yeah, you got to play to win. But that's going to be a 5:00 game on Sunday, which will be nice over at Gamebridge. Another nice home game for us. So I'm excited to see that. I don't know if LaMelo is going to be playing or not. But I was talking to Preston. I don't know. When I saw LaMelo Ball play, I was like, man, that guy's good. I was like, oh man, he's young. He's exciting. He's got a good smile and everything, and does tricky passes and stuff. And now we got a guy just like him. Except for I don't know. He's more effective, maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe it's not LaMelo is not as effective. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, that's kind of interesting. So I'm definitely glad we got Tyrese Haliburton. That's for sure. Even though I had no idea who he was. Who the Ball brothers
you may not have known him, but you will know now.
Exactly. All right. I think that's going to wrap it up. Dad, thank you for joining me for your third time in a row as the guest host. Preston should be back on Sunday to take over, but you are obviously more than welcome to join if you would like, and then in the future. So, but that's it. What's your final word? What you gonna say?
My final word is, we did it.
Okay.
Again.
We did it again. Final phrase.
That's more than one word, but we did it again.
I'm actually gonna give a final word. My final word is run. As in, keep on running. Keep them runs going. Keep on running. Keep them runs going. Don't get ran up though. Don't get ran up. Just run. They definitely did a great job of running today.
That's right. Hang in there with our Pacers.
Yep. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next episode coming up on Sunday. Possibly you might get it on Monday morning if you're just checking for the podcast. So if you guys are just listening to the podcast and not listening to the YouTube channel, if you want to hear it ahead of time, the YouTube definitely loads up a lot faster. When I get the videos on YouTube, they are on immediately. When it comes to the podcast networks, it takes sometimes within a couple hours or even longer, sometimes 8 hours or so. So if you guys want to make sure you get the content fast and quickly, and you want to see it the same day of the game, go ahead and make sure you check for YouTube. If not, it'll be there the next day. So, but you guys have a great night, have a great evening, morning, whatever time you listen to this, and you be blessed. Bye-bye.